All right, thanks, Corey. Greg Remmenga joins us once again for some more free legal advice. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Today we're going to be talking more about workers' compensation, how that compares to civil injuries, and kind of
just the program, the process of how it works.
Okay.
The major two differences between a civil suit and a workers' comp is in a civil suit, you have to prove fault.
Okay.
In a workers' comp suit, you only have to prove that it was injured in the course of doing business.
Okay.
And then in the civil suit, you have to prove your damages, what your injuries were and how much that's worth. In workers' comp, it's set out in a mathematical formula by statute. You look at a guidebook, determine the disability, the doctor gives you a rating, you look at the book, and that's your compensation.
Interesting. Okay.
So those two systems both look at somebody that's injured, but their purposes are different. In a civil suit for an injury, you're trying to prove that somebody did something wrong, and because they did something wrong, were negligent, they owe you the money. And you can get your pain and suffering, your disability, your medical bills.
Right.
In the workers' comp, the purpose is to compensate an injured employee, whether it was somebody's fault or not, so you don't have to prove the fault. Therefore, in workers' comp, since you don't have to prove fault, you get a lot more compressed type of recovery.
Okay.
You aren't able to prove the pain and suffering. You're not able to prove the future disability, those types of things, but you don't have to prove fault.
Right. So for workers' comp, you mentioned those ratings, that it's just solely based on what the doctor, I guess, determines what that rating is, or is there more to it? Or
primarily it's based upon what the doctor rates you at.
Okay.
For example, you have a knee injury, the doctor will do the tests that are prescribed in the book, measure your range of motion based upon the disability. Did you have surgery? You look at the book, he'll give you a percentage rating. You're this much % disabled. Then you multiply that by the factors in the book, and that's your compensation for it.
Interesting. Okay, so would you say that sometimes in those civil suits you may come out with more, I guess, rewards if you are able to prove?
You're able to prove more compensation in a personal injury, but once again, you have to prove fault.
Right, so there's a risk there.
So there's a risk there.
Right. Okay, great. If you have any questions for Greg or want a free consultation, feel free to give that number a call right there on your screen, or visit gregremmenga.com. We'll be right back.
If you want Greg to answer one of your legal questions, visit KREXTV.com, click on Live in the Studio, and submit your question on the right side of the screen. Watch Greg's segment every Wednesday on News Channel 5 at noon.